Welcome to What's Math. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. This video will focus on finding slope whenever we are given linear equations. The slope of a linear equation. Our first goal is to make sure that the y is isolated. That means by itself. We want it to be in the slope-intercept form, whereas y equals to mx plus b. The slope, which is represented by m, is the coefficient of x, and we should only use the number only. Examples. Number 1, y equals 5 over 4x plus 6. If you take a good look, the y is by itself, is completely isolated. So therefore, we should try to locate the coefficient of x. And in this case, it's going to be 5 over 4. So the slope is equal to 5 over 4. Number 2, y equals 8 minus 7x. Once again, the y is completely isolated, is in a singular form. But if you notice, they try to trick you. Instead of writing the x first, they put it towards the back. But that should not be an issue. As long as y is by itself, you're just trying to locate the coefficient of x. And in this case, it is negative 7. So m is equal to negative 7. Examples, special cases. We're talking about when there's x or y only. Number 3, y equals 11. If you look carefully, there's no x involved in this equation. Whenever you have this situation, when there's y only, it's an horizontal line. Therefore, y is equal to 0, but you will have some value other than 0 for your run. And in previous videos, you know it's okay to divide 0 by a number or an integer other than 0, of course. So m will equal to 0. Number 4, x plus 3 is equal to 7. In this case, it's an x only situation. And in this case, it's a vertical line. Therefore, there is a rise, but however, run will equal to 0. And in previous videos, we know that we cannot divide by 0. It's not possible. So therefore, the slope will be undefined. Standard form. Here are the criteria for standard form. X and y on the same side. A must be positive. No fractions or decimals. The proper way of finding the slope when it's in standard form is to first isolate the y. Step 2, locate the m. I'm also going to share with you a little trick. M will equal to A over the opposite of B. So basically just change the sign of B. Example. 6x plus 5y is equals to 13. So the first step is to isolate the y. So we need to move the x to the other side. You can bring it over and change the sign, or you can say the opposite of 6x is negative 6x. So we subtract 6x from both sides. Now we're left with 5y equals negative 6x plus 13. We need the y to be isolated and be in a singular form, so therefore we need to get rid of this 5, which means multiplication in this case. So we're going to divide everything by 5, and if you notice, everything gets its own 5. Then we simplify if we can. Now that the y is completely isolated, your slope is the coefficient of x, and in this case is negative 6 over 5. So therefore, the slope is equal to negative 6 over 5. Let's go to the trick. If I label it, therefore, if you notice, the 6 would be A, and the positive 5 would be your B. 6 in the top because A in the top, and then over the opposite of B. The opposite of positive 5 is negative 5. And based on previous video written properly, it is negative 6 over 5. And you may ask why? Because a positive divided by a negative is negative, so the fraction is negative. Example, 4x minus 7y is equal to 24. The opposite of positive 4x is negative 4x. So now we're left with negative 7y equals negative 4x plus 24. We need the y to be in a singular state, so we're going to divide everything by negative 7. Rule of thumb, it's like the letter L, and numbers along the L should always be exactly the same. Now we're left with y equals to 4 over 7x. Why? Because negative and a negative equals to positive. A positive and a negative equals to negative 24 over 7. Now the y is in the singular state. We're going to look for the coefficient of x, which is 4 over 7. Therefore, the slope is equal to 4 over 7. Let's use a trick. And if I color coordinate it, the 4 is A and the negative 7 is B. So it will be A, which is 4 in the top. The opposite of negative 7 is positive 7. So therefore, the slope is 4 over 7, which as you can see is exactly the same. Now, please check for understanding by completing these two problems. Solution. Find the slope of a line with the given equation 3x minus 5y equals 7. We're going to isolate the y by moving the 3x by subtracting negative 3x from both sides. So negative 5y equals to negative 3x plus 7. Divide everything by negative 5. Once again, remember, numbers along the L should be exactly the same. So y is equal to 3 over 5x minus 7 over 5. Now that y is isolated, we can find the coefficient of x. So the slope is equal to 3 over 5. If we use the trick and we color coordinated, A is 3 and B is negative 5. So therefore it's 3 over the opposite of negative 5, which is 5. So therefore M is equal to 3 over 5, which is exactly the same. Let's move on to number 2. In this case, y is already isolated. So therefore it's going to be the coefficient of x. And the coefficient of x is 5 over 9. So the slope is equal to 5 over 9. And that is the answer. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my channel. And you can buy me a coffee if you like what you see. It's not mandatory. Thank you in advance.